Welcome back to the Arsenal podcast with Miko C. Still talking about Mikel Arteta. Like I said, before we go into the news, before we go into the transfers, Partey is injured. The club is in a mess right now. But before we go into that, I want us to talk about Mikel Arteta because there is an agenda going around against Mikel Arteta that he should be actually sacked. One of the people I've seen is Lee Garner, and one of the my favorite YouTubers on YouTube. I don't want to lie, he's one of my favorite. I love him so much, and he says because of the fact that Arteta has lost 9 games out of his 28 games so far as Arsenal manager, he should be sacked right away. I want to get your opinions on that. Tell me what you think. Should Mikel Arteta actually be out of Arsenal? Should he see the door as soon as possible? Because this season, he has played 8 games, lost 4, and won 4 games. So that is the topic. That's the discussion. I want to get in your opinions as well, but I want to give you mine before I can get yours. Mikel Arteta out. Is it time to say goodbye? 9 games lost out of 28. That means it's only less than 20 games that he has won as Arsenal manager out of the 28. Now that's a bad record. It is a bad record. You see, I'm Mikel Arteta in. I love Mikel Arteta. I've seen what he can do. When Arsenal was deciding to sack Unai Emery, I was one of the happiest fans. I knew there was no way Unai Emery was going to add anything to that Arsenal side, and it was the truth. He had spoiled everything. The morale was down, the attitude, the love, in the players. Almost the club had gone into shambles. So it was the right decision. There is no way. There is no turning back. If you asked me today, was Arsenal, right to sack Unai Emery? Then it was the right decision. I was happy when he came in because he's a couple of he's one of those managers that are experienced, from Sevilla to PSG. His CV was big enough for us. So I was happy when Unai Emery came in. I wasn't happy when Mikel Arteta joined us. I wasn't really happy when we started poaching him and stalking him. I never thought he was the right man for the job. I never thought about it. And I was one of the fans that always said, no, Mikel Arteta can't do this. Mikel Arteta, has no experience. He has never been an independent coach. He has been under Pep Guardiola all his life as a manager. So there wasn't anything for me. There wasn't anything that could attract me to Mikel Arteta. Nothing, absolutely nothing. But when he joined Arsenal, his football, the tactics, and everything he came with were impressive. We didn't start winning right away. If you guys still remember, we didn't start winning right away. We still had the hiccups. The same hiccups we have today. We still have the same hiccups last season when Mikel Arteta joined the club. But there were so many things changed that we are forgetting right now. It's not time to push him out. I don't want to say so many statements before I say this. For me, it's not time to push him out. Yes, I agree. This season, he's an absolute bismo. He is playing boring football, nonsense, trash, rubbish. Call it whatever you want. Not entertaining, not getting the results. You cannot really explain what Arsenal is doing this season. But I think he demands respect. We should put some respect on Mikel Arteta's name, whether we want him sacked or not. I don't know what kind of opinion you guys have. I don't know whether you're Mikel Arteta out, because for me, I don't have an agenda against him. There are problems I have, with Mikel Arteta, and I've already said them, especially in my match reactions. Why don't you play Aubameyang centrally? Why don't you introduce one of the creative players you have, either Ozil or Willock or Smith Rowe? I've already said those things. Why did you leave out William Saliba out of the squad? Those things I've always said, and I've always complained, and I'll always continue to complain, to Mikel Arteta. There are some decisions that, he makes, and you feel like this is not the right decision. Against Aston Villa, he brings on Eddie Nketiah. For Christ's sake, what was Eddie Nketiah going to do in that game? It's not a matter of bringing on substitutions. Like in the Manchester United game, he puts off Lacazette, who had a great game, composed, he had held the Manchester United backline as strong as he could, and brings on Eddie Nketiah, and all of a sudden United picks up strength, picks up motivation. They start, possessing us, and they were nearly getting an equalizer because he makes the wrong substitution when you thought it was the easy thing to see. I agree, he's a manager that has made so many mistakes, but when it comes to deciding whether he leaves or not right now, for me, it's not the right position. What is more interesting is the manager that is linked with Arsenal, Mauricio Pochetino, ex-Tottenham manager, ex-Southampton manager. I loved him when he was at Southampton. He did a great job. He also did a very great job before the season he was sacked at Tottenham Hotspur. I think he's one of the managers that Tottenham will take long to forget in the past decade. His tremendous success in the UEFA Champions League. His the way he lifted them in the English Premier League. He has, for me, it's not Mourinho, but it's the background of laid by the background laid by Mauricio Pochettino that has made Tottenham the team they are today. I know Mourinho has spent money on a couple of signings, and under his spell, Tottenham really look good. They are scary. But the truth for me, it is Pochettino. He did absolutely a wonderful job. He has done a wonderful job in England, both at Tottenham and at Southampton. United are interested because they have a headache with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who can't win 2 games in a row, just like Mikel Arteta can't win 2 games in a row this season. But if we look at what Mikel Arteta has added to this team, there are positives. There are so many positives that Mikel Arteta has added to this team, and nevertheless, he asked for a creative midfielder. We are crying of creativity. He asked for a creative midfielder. He talked about Osemowa. Negotiations were there. Everything was in place, but the player never joined. That is nowhere near a problem of Mikel Arteta. That Osemowa didn't actually join Arsenal. That's nowhere near. It's either the board or you talk about Edu. You can't talk about whoever wants, but it's not even Edu, because I know he did the negotiations. The money was the problem. He doesn't pay the money. So for me, I think what Mikel Arteta has done for this side is way too big so far for us to push him out. I know his success rate in match days has deteriorated this season. Absolutely embarrassing. I think I love DT's comment after the Aston Villa game. He says, Arsenal have never been so embarrassing like this. The last time we were as embarrassing as that was when Bayern Munich spanked us 5-0 home and away. 10 goals in 2 legs. I still remember. I think for me, that was the most, that's the most recent humiliating moment, apart from the 8-2 Manchester United. But Villa coming at the Emirates Stadium and they're like, we can do this. I understand. But Pochettino as a manager has his own flaws. Maybe Pochettino is not going to run the budget Arsenal has. Think about it. There is a reason as to why Mikel Arteta came, and for me, he hasn't done a bad job. Extremely a bad job. There are things, like I said, there are things I do not agree with Arteta, and I'm like, dude, this wrong. But there are those credits, there are those positives I think about Mikel Arteta, and I'm like, it's just not right for you to think that Mikel Arteta needs to be kicked out of Arsenal, especially with 8 games played onto the season. However, just like you see down there, I've already done a video. Arteta needs creativity and consistency, because no football fan is going to sit, watch you win against Manchester United, lose against Crystal Palace, win against Chelsea, lose against Leeds, beat Bournemouth, lose West Brom. No Arsenal fan, no football fan is going to actually tolerate that. We need to get that consistency on the road, whether we have the creativity or not. I agree, but the agenda, the people driving the agenda, Mikel Arteta out, for me, it's just not acceptable. It's just not acceptable. Not at this point in time. We all know the problems that come in when you sack a manager. I love Ligan. I love him so much, and I can't disrespect him. He has been an Arsenal fan longer than I've been, but there is no way I'm siding with him that Mikel Arteta should be sacked from Arsenal, from his position. No. There are so many things that Mikel Arteta needs to add into that team, and the market, the board, has to provide, has to deliver. He has asked for a creative midfielder, Szoboszlai and Hausemowa. He has asked for those players. They are not yet provided. Quite clear, quite simple. They are not yet provided. So we know that the board is letting him down at some point in time. And some of the players that he's fielding are the kind of players that we have. Ceballos, Xhaka, Euneni, there are no other options. They're not there. There is no way manager is going to get the best out of a player who is naturally average. There isn't anything Mohamed Elneny, apart from the excitement Arsenal fans we have. There isn't anything Mohamed Elneny is going to add to us, to his football. What is he going to add? Like, if we are gonna be honest, I mean, what is Mohamed Elneny going to add to his football? To become a Modric, to become a Kevin De Bruyne? No, he's not going to become that. Although he's playing, in a more advanced role. He had a good game against Manchester United. How many chances did he create? How many goal scoring opportunities did he create? None. What he does is run around the pitch, and he has a good work rate. Okay, that is fine. But some of the players he has are not technically gifted. I know there are some players that actually are not playing in the right positions because of Mikel Arteta's obsession with other players. Like Bellerin, for me, I do not agree that Bellerin is the best right back we have. I've already said it. It's either Cedric or Ainsley Maitland-Niles. I've already said it and I say it again. Bellerin, for me, is not the best right back we have at Arsenal. I'm quite clear about that. And Mikel Arteta, whenever he puts him on the pitch, I do not agree. So, at some point in time, Granit Xhaka will get back into the starting lineup. Maybe because Partey is injured or something, right? But Aubameyang needs to play more centrally again. These are mistakes that Mikel Arteta is doing, and they are actually nailing the last nail in his own coffin. They are pushing him to fall on his sword. I mean, what's the reason you don't play the best attacker in the Premier League centrally? There's no reason. Aubameyang is the best forward in the Premier League. No doubts about that. No questions about that. He is, and you do not play him centrally. I mean, there must be a problem, right? There must be a problem. And Mikel, of course, I know he wants to add another striker on the pitch. But the strikers he introduces, Edin Nketiah, Lacazette, they're not just clinical. They're not ready to score the goals, and they're just going to cost you your job, Mikel. Against Aston Villa, if Lacazette had scored that equalizer in the 43rd minute, it should have been a different game. It should have been a different game. The morale was down. A goal was enough. A goal was sufficient to bring the morale on board. And Lacazette, the best he could do is flip that header way above. So for me, Pochetino, I love Pochetino. I rate him as a manager. I rate him so highly. By the way, I think he's one of the best managers I've seen in the last 4 years, 5 years. When he was at Spurs, he was, brilliant. When he was at Sutton, he was brilliant. He had a couple of players, a little budget, but nice football. Very good football. At Spurs, it's really debatable. I think he had good players. He had Ericsson in there. He had Bell in there. Heung-min Son was there. Dele Alli was at, of course, prime Dele Alli, because right now it's debatable. But at least prime Dele Alli was there. He had the Higolori. There he had Toby Alderweireld. He had the Trippiers of this world. I think the truth is he had a decent squad at Tottenham. But having a decent squad doesn't guarantee you results. There is a touch a manager has to add to the players to get those results, and I think they were just unlucky. It was unfair for them that they didn't win a trophy in that period of time, and his downfall came too early. I think that's the only unfortunate part Mauricio Pochettino had. He's a good manager, but whenever you change, how do you tell me that after 28 games you want to sack a manager who has not taken you below the table, a manager who has drowned, who found you drowning and then brought you back aboard? For me, Mikel Arteta, I'm still watching him. I'm not saying we should give him more 10 games when he's not winning or when he's not consistent, but I see him as a manager who learns from his mistakes. He saw it that the Xhaka Ceballos, partnership doesn't work. He tries out El Neni and Partey. It works out in the first instance. In the second instance, it doesn't work out. So probably he's going to try out something else. I think, Arsenal is in pieces. He found it in pieces, and the club is still in pieces. The vigor and the authority we have to demand for results is because of Mikel Arteta. It's because Mikel Arteta has changed the way we are looking at Arsenal right now. We feel like we can win game in, game out. And he said it in his post-match press conference that for a big team like Arsenal, you feel like you need to win every game. You feel like you're going to win the next game. And that's what I feel as a fan. And I know he feels the same as a manager. And for me, I'm behind him because I think he might not be a manager that's going to win me the Champions League or take me at the top of the table for 100 days. It might just not happen. But I think he's a manager that can sew up those gaps that have been left in the club for some time. The wounds that have been left by managers like Unai Emery and the last years of the Arsene Wenger era, the way Arsenal was torn apart, that is a time when I think maybe Arteta is doing a good job. When I think about that, I think maybe Arteta is doing a good job at the club. It's not about rushing about, Pochetino or Sarri or Allegri or whoever other fans would want. It's all about acknowledging the fact that Mikel Arteta has done something for this club. But tell me in the comment box, I want to know, what do you think about Mikel Arteta and Pochettino? Is it time out for Mikel Arteta because he has a 50% winning percentage in the Premier League this season? If you look at the games he has lost, he's in position 11 on the table behind Manchester City. City have a game in hand, but he's 12 points and he has 12 points. He's 6 points behind table leaders Leicester City. Those are 2 games. And then you say, sack the manager. If I look at the 4 games we have lost, Aston Villa, I think they've been quite amazing this season. I said it, in the earlier video. They've been so amazing this season, and they deserve respect. But of course, that doesn't mean they can beat us at the Emirates Stadium. Not even pick up a point. So I blame him. I blame him for that. Manchester City was a game that we could win, or actually get a point. To be more clear and realistic, we could have gotten a point out of that game. The reason as to why we didn't win that game was quite clear. We gave them so much respect. We played a defensive game and we never took our chances. Playing a defensive game against a team like Manchester City, that means you're giving them respect, which is okay for me. We didn't take our chances. That's not Mikel Arteta, because Bukayo Saka is one of the best performers at Arsenal, and in that game he didn't take the chance he had. So that's not Mikel Arteta, because if he didn't play Saka, then that should have been on him. Why didn't you play your best player on the pitch? But he played him, and he disappointed. So that is not on Mikel Arteta. Liverpool beat us 3-1. Of course, a couple of defensive issues. He didn't bring on. He didn't start Gabriel Magalhaes. I mean, if you ask me why, the answer is I don't know. But it hurts whenever I think about that answer. I think he should have done better. Honestly, he should have done better. The man, Gabriel Magalhaes, had proved to him that, I'm worth starting every game. He had proved. There is no way, absolutely there is no way Arteta needed to leave Gabriel Magalhaes out of that game. And the first goal we considered, it was a defensive mistake. The second goal, a defensive error, because the first goal, Leno punches that ball, it falls in front of him, and there is no Arsenal defender to clear. I think Luiz and Rob Holding were the two centre backs partnering each other. Mane finds that ball where Rob Holding and Hector Bellerin should be. No one is there. Mane gets a free kick. The second goal, it's a beautiful cross, and you think Robertson should be under pressure from any Arsenal defender or any Arsenal player. He gets that ball, puts it on his chest, gets into the area, and absolutely no Arsenal player is on him. He scores that goal. That's not on Mikel Arteta as well. He's chose the right players in that game, apart from leaving out Gabriel Magalhaes. So for me, if you ask me, the truth is, we've lost 2 games because of Mikel Arteta. The Leicester City game, he needed to make changes at halftime because he knew and he saw it. All of us could see that the penetration was the problem. Penetrating Leicester City, that was the problem. We were so bland. He never did that. He brought on Eddie. Did he bring on Eddie Nketiah? And he messed up everything. So for me, I think he lost us the Leicester City game, and he also lost us the Manchester City game. For Aston Villa, it's debatable. At times, we need to look at the players and ask them, did they actually do their job? For me, they didn't. They didn't. But anyway, I want to know your thoughts. Should Mikel Arteta actually leave Arsenal and be replaced by Mauricio Pochetino? I'm out. Have a nice time.